Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. This is the English translation of the Majlis of Hazrath Maulana Qamar Uzzaman Saheb Damat Barakatuhum, which took place on Wednesday, the 29th of Jumadul Akhirah, 1446, 1st of January 2025. The kitab is that of Ibn Ataullah Iskandari. It was translated by Hazrat Tanvi on the instruction of Hazrat Haji Imdadullah rahimahullah ta'ala. Hazrat Tanvi has carried out a fantastic translation which was well accepted by the ulama. Tawheedi kitab suluk wa tasleek ke liye bahut mufiid. This is a kitab of Tawheed and the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and very beneficial for the one who is walking the path to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So here, in the discussion today, we speak about Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salatu wassalam. Ibrahim alayhi salatu wassalam ki puri zindagi ishq wa muhabbat se dubi hui hai. The entire life of Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salatu wassalam is actually immersed in love and muhabbat, ishq. Allah Ta'ala give us all kamyabi and success. Ala tara anna Ibrahim alayhi salatu wassalam lamma qala rabbuhu aslim. Have you not understood? Have you not pondered over the fact at that time when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to Ibrahim alayhi salatu wassalam, Aslim, become Muslim, hand over yourself to Allah. When Allah said that to him, Aslim, hand yourself over, what did Ibrahim alayhi salatu wassalam say? Ibrahim alayhi salatu wassalam said, Aslamtu li Rabbil Alameen. I have brought Iman, not just like that, however, with the Rabb of all the worlds. And when he was fastened in that catapult, Istaghathatil Malaika. At that time, the heavens cried. The Malaika begged Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala qailatan, saying, Ya Rabbana hadha khaliluk. O our Rabb, this here is your bosom friend. Now our Hazrat Wala is saying, let me say, Pakka. Let me use the word Pakka, Pakka dost, because many would not understand the word Ghara. A bosom friend, Khaliluk. So the heavens cried and the Malaika beseeched Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that, oh Allah, this is your Khalil, and see what has come his way. You are more knowing of all of that. Now look at that spectacle. They are looking from the heavens down on earth. At that time Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala answers by saying, فَقَالَ الْحَقُّ سُبْحَانَهُ وَتَعَالَى Idhab ilayhi Jibra'il. O Jibra'il, go to him. فَإِنِ اسْتَغَاثَ بِكَ فَأَغِثْهُ. Go to him. If he asks you for help, help him. وَإِلَّا فَاتْرُكْنِي وَخَلِيلِي. Go to him. Go to Ibrahim. If he asks you for help, help him. If not, listen. The matter is different. It's very personal. It's of a very high level. Leave me and leave my bosom friend. Leave us alone. This here is something very, very intimate and close between me and my bosom friend, Ibrahim alayhi salatu wassalam. Now, we should continue asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He purifies our nafs. Allahumma aati nafsi taqwaha wa zakkiha anta khayru man zakkaha anta waliyuha wa mawlaha. O Allah, grant my nafs its piety. Wa zakkiha, purify it. Anta khayru man zakkaha, you are the best of those who can purify my nafs. Anta waliyuha wa mawlaha, you are its guardian. Wa Maulaha, you are its owner. Now Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab very passionately, बहुत शद्द मस्त के साथ बयान फरमाते थे. He used to relate this article and this particular mazmoon and topic to us. He would go on to say, Hum sahib nafs hai. Listen, we are the individuals next to this nafs. That we are here, this is our nafs. But oh Allah, aap wali nafs hai. You are the owner, you are the malik of this nafs. You also have a right. Now at that time, this kitab was not present. It was not even translated. However, the subject matter Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab presented to us. And what was all of this? Hazrat Tanvi ki suni hui baate. It was the talks of Hazrat Tanvi rahimahullahu ta'ala. So this year, Khalil, the Mukhlis, most sincere, bosom, close friend of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What was all of this? It was nothing other than that of Tawheed. Wahidullah, proclaim the love, proclaim the unity of Allah, the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فَإِنَّ التَّوْحِيدِ رَأْسُ الطَّاعَاتِ, because Tawheed and the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the essence of all worship. If you have no Tawheed, you've got no ibadat. On one occasion, what can I say? Must I talk about myself here? अपनी बात क्या कहूँ मैं? हजरत ने मजलिस में या मजलिस के बाद Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab said to me in the majlis or just after the majlis, he said this to me, कि हमने तुमको दे दिया, that I have given it to you, we have bestowed you. There was silence. Hazrat then said again, जानते हो क्या दिया? Do you even know what was given? And then he goes on himself to say, إني توكلت على الله, that I have given to you, inni tawakkaltu ala Allah, the gift of tawakkul, reliance and trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Our Hazrat Wala goes on to say, dua kijiye. Aise hi ho, make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that it is like that, or akhir dam tak aisa hi rahe, and it remains like this right until the end. So then, Jibreel alayhi salatu wassalam was given the order by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that go, O Jibreel. If he asks you for help, give him help. And listen, if not, then step aside. This is a different relationship completely and altogether. فَلَمَّا جَاءَهُ جِبْرَائِيلَ عَلَيْهِ الصَّلَاةُ وَالسَّلَامُ وَهُوَ فِي أُفُقِ الْهُوِي. When Jibreel alayhi salatu wassalam came and Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salatu wassalam was already shot and flung by means of that catapult and he was in mid-air. At that time Jibreel alayhi salatu wassalam comes to him and says to him, Alaka haja, do you have any need? Allahu Akbar, do you have any need? So he goes on to say, Amma ilayka fala. From you? No, not at all. Wa amma ilallah fabala. Yes, from the side of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, most definitely. So then Jibreel alayhi salatu wassalam then goes on to say, Salhu. If that's the case, then why don't you ask? Why don't you ask and make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Ibrahim alayhi salatu wassalam then says, Hasbi min su'ali ilmuhu bihali. That Allah Ta'ala's knowledge of my condition suffices me from even asking Him. He knows what is happening with me. Now this is Tawheed Khalis. This here is pure, pristine oneness and tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. On one occasion, Hazrat Maulana Abraul Haq Sahab, our Hazrat Wala, is saying, gave us some task and duty, some work to carry out. We tried to the best of our ability, but with much difficulty it was difficult, we were unable to complete that. So we put our hands down and we were unable to complete it. Hazrat Maulana Abraul Haq Sahab came and then he asked us that what has happened. We related to him, we were unable to do it, and he said to us that how is it that you have dropped your hands and you have stopped making an effort? You have already become despondent. But what was the great lesson he was teaching us? Karte rehna chahiye. You're supposed to carry on. You're supposed to carry on. You're supposed to continue in what you were doing. You hardly tried a little. You couldn't get it done here. Why didn't you go there? You couldn't get it done there. Why didn't you try again here, there, and continue in your effort and pursue? Maulana Abraul Haq ki tarbiyat हम लोगों को बहुत असर हुआ that this nurturing of Hazrat Maulana Abraul Haq had a deep and profound effect on us. If your work couldn't get done here, he scolded, he reprimanded, why didn't you try further? Koshish se kyun baith gaye? Why have you sat down hopelessly and stopped your efforts? Now what to do and what to say? In Hazrat ke khidmat mein रहने से ये चीज हासिल हुई या नहीं हुई, कम से कम उसके इल्म हुई. Staying in the grand companionship of these great personalities. Whether this was achieved or not achieved, that's a separate topic on its own. At least I can tell you so much. I have the knowledge of it which I can pass on to you people. Nevertheless, fantastic kitab on Tawheed. Hazrat Haji Imdadullah says, goes to Hazrat Tanvi, he was in that Qamar there. Ashraf Ali, translate this kitab, it will be of great benefit to the people. Hazrat Tanvi is saying, I wasn't deserving of that, but it was the instruction of my Sheikh. I started translating slowly, and every day would report and show to Hazrat Haji Imdadullah, and he would write then some footnotes if need be. Now you people make dua that we achieve this Tawheed. You know, Maulana Mohammad brought this kitab to me. And then when we went to Makkah Mukarramah, which was the place of Tawheed and where this kitab was written and all of this had taken place, I then recited and conducted Majlis from this year over and over again. Make dua that we achieve this Tawheed. आ सके गैर मेरे खाना ए दिल में कैसे कि खियार रुख दिलदार दरबा अपना आ सके गैर मेरे खाना ए दिल में कैसे. How can ghair, how can anything else other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ever penetrate the haram and the gates and the walls of my heart ever? How can this ever happen when khiyale rukh dildar darban apna, when the thought and the consciousness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is my guard, my policeman, my security just outside my heart? Impossible. Ghair ko aane na do. Ghair ko aane na do. Don't let anything other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ever penetrate and come into your heart. Now look how Ibrahim alayhi salatu wassalam answers so beautifully. Amma ilayka fala. When Jibreel asked him alayhi salatu wa taslim that do you have any need? He says from you, no. However, from the side of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, most definitely. Look at the answer. How jami' and how all comprehensive it is. Otherwise, if he did not answer in this manner, then it would have led to istighna, showing that he is even independent regarding Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which was not the case. So look from the answer already, that will tell you his hal, Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salatu wassalam. So this is Tawheed Khalis, pure, unadulterated Tawheed. So conditions come, halat. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab never ever portrayed his own high spiritual state, never ever. On one occasion, I used to come and go and enter his private chamber just like that. And on one occasion, I entered this private chamber of his, and he was pacing up and down like this here, singing and saying these couplets to himself in such a spiritual state. To Peer Shudi Hafiz, az mehkada bayrun shuad. To Peer Shudi Hafiz, az mehkada bayrun shuad. Rindi wa hawasnaki dar ahde shababawla. You have become old, O Hafiz. The Ash'ar of Hafiz, Shirazi. You have become old, Wasiullah. You have become old, you have grown old. As mehkada bayrun shuad. Come out of these terrible places now. These unsuitable places. It's not for you. Come out from there. Rindi wa hawasnaki. This life of carelessness and freedom. Come out of that now. Dar ahde shabab awla. If it is also okay, it will be okay or understood okay to a certain extent to a young person. You have grown old. You are going to go to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Enough. Come out of all that. Allahu Akbar. Buzurgo ko tawakkul diya jata hai. These great personalities are given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala this tawakkul. Allah is maqam par pahuncha de. Allah ta'ala, let us reach this high stage of tawheed. On one occasion, Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab said to me, go and tell Bhai Sahab this. And what was the message that he was sending me with? That suluk को तमाम करने के लिए तवाज़ु और तवक्कुल ज़रूरी है. For you to complete your suluk, your journey, your travel, your safar to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you need definitely two things. One is that of humility, tawazu, and the other one is that of tawakkul and the oneness in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Tawazu, with it, makhluk se ta'alluq durust. By means of humility, your connection with the makhluk will definitely be set right. And by means of tawakkul se, Allah Ta'ala se ta'alluq durust. Your connection and your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be corrected and rectified. What can I tell you about tawazu and tawakkul? Yahi tasawwuf ki jaan, tariq ki jaan, deen ki jaan. This is the life. This is the essence of tasawwuf, Sufism. Tariq, this path that we are walking to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Rather, this is the essence of our deen and our religion. So tawakkul, who's it for? Sab ke liye. Koi mustasna nahi. This is for one and all. No one is the exception to this type of ta'limat and these type of treasures. It is for one and all. Tuniz barsare am. Oh Allah, look at what's happening here. Look at what's going on here. Look at how I am troubled and mocked at. This here is absolutely ajib. Please, you come out. You also come onto the rooftop and have a look at what they are doing to me. All of this here only because of one crime that I have committed. And that crime is nothing other than my ishq and my love for you, that I am being troubled and I am being mocked at today. So, the ashik is always in imtihan. The lover and the ma'shook, the beloved, is always putting the lover in imtihan, and all of this here is not so that he can harm him. No, not at all. Not at all. So, Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam did not ask for help from anyone other than Allah. His courage and his himmat was not in anyone, his hopes, other than Allah. بَلِ اسْتَسْلَمَ لِحُكْمِ اللَّهِ. Rather, he handed himself over to the command of Allah. مُكْتَفِيًا بِتَدْبِيرِ اللَّهِ لَهُ. Sufficing on the plan of Allah for him against the plan of himself for himself. So he handed himself to Allah, and he sufficed on Allah's plan for him instead of his own plans for himself. He sufficed on Allah's consideration for him rather than his own consideration for himself. He sufficed on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's knowledge regarding his own dua and his hal, knowing well that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is most kind and most compassionate to me in every instance and every occasion. After all of this, Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salatu wassalam proved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala praises Ibrahim alayhi salatu wassalam, saying in such glowing terms, وَإِبْرَاهِيمَ الَّذِي وَفَّى. Ibrahim alayhi salatu wassalam completed. Ibrahim alayhi salatu wassalam fulfilled. Ibrahim alayhi salatu wassalam excelled. Ibrahim alayhi salatu wassalam passed. وَنَجَّاهُ مِنَ النَّارِ. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved him from the fire, saying to the fire, قُلْنَا يَا نَارُ كُونِي بَرْدًا وَسَلَامًا عَلَى إِبْرَاهِيمَ. We said, O fire, become cool and a source of peace for Ibrahim alayhi salatu wassalam. Now, look here. قال أهل العلم, the muhaqqiqeen and the scholars go on to say and take out nikat and subtle points from in between the lines and the words. They say, لَوْ لَمْ يَقُلِ الْحَقُّ سُبْحَانَهُ وَتَعَالَى وَسَلَامًا. Allah Ta'ala did not suffice on just saying, Kuni bardan, become cool. And if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not say the words a source of peace, then that coolness and coldness then would have destroyed Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salatu wassalam. Nevertheless, by merely Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying to the fire and announcing his grand decree and his instruction from the arsh, that, O fire, become cool and a source of peace for Ibrahim. فَخَمِدَتْ تِلْكَ النَّارِ. That fire then was extinguished. It became cool. The Ahl Ilm, radiyallahu ta'ala anhum, remark regarding the akhbar and this news and incidents regarding the Anbiya alayhimus salatu wassalam. They say that at that time there, لم يبقى في ذلك الوقت نار بمشارق الأرض ولا بمغاربها إلا خمدت. There was no fire on the face of this earth, the length and breadth of this earth, the east and the west, except that fire was extinguished, or the strength of that fire was reduced. Why? Every fire at that time there, ظَانَّةً أَنَّهَا الْمُعَيَّنَةُ بِالْخِطَابِ, thought at that time that I am being addressed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So whether that fire was in the veld and in the fields, or whether it was in the homes cooking the pots, each and every fire understood and heard that announcement, understanding itself to be the addressee of that particular instruction, then destroyed and removed that strength of heat and to burn from itself. إِنَّهُ لم تحرق النار منه إلا قيده. And at that time, the fire did not touch anything, burn anything other than the shackles which were around the hands and legs of Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salatu wassalam. Now here, when Jibreel alayhi salatu wassalam asked Ibrahim alayhi salatu wassalam, Alaka haja, do you have any need? And he answered, from you? No, rather from Allah. Now tell me, our Hazrat Wala is saying, Jawab dene ka dang aaya ke nahi? Tell me, have you now at least learned the style or even the way one should actually answer? Now this type of ta'aleem is for one and all, not only for Ibrahim alayhi salatu wassalam. This type of ta'aleem is for one and all, not only for Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam and Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiyallahu ta'ala an. So now we continue with the faidas regarding Ibrahim alayhi salatu wassalam. Now here, look again, we're going over it regarding the statement of Ibrahim alayhi salatu wassalam when Jibreel alayhi salatu wassalam says to him, Alaka haja, do you need anything? And he says, Amma ilayka fala, that from you no. Walam yaqul laysa li haja. Ibrahim alayhi salatu wassalam did not say, I do not have any need. لأن مقام الرسالة والخلة يقتضي القيام بصريح العبودية. Because the high nature and status, the maqam of prophethood, rather being a bosom friend of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, demands absolute humility, selflessness, self-effacement in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that actually demands making apparent one's need in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And presenting one's destitution in front of him, that Allah, I need you. Allah, it's from you that I will ask. And taking away one's hope, one's plea, one's request, away from everyone and handing it over to none other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, actually, Amma ilayka fala, meaning, Ana muhtajun ilallah. I am in need of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wa amma ilayka fala. So that is the siyaq there, that amma ana muhtajun ilallah. I am in need of Allah, I am not in need of you. فجمع في كلامه هذا إظهار الفاقة إلى الله ورفع الهمة أما سوى الله. So from all of this, we understand that Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salatu wassalam displayed his destitution, his need, his want only to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he turned his gaze from one and all to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So let us conclude now. Allah ta'ala bless us with his muhabbat and his ma'rifat, his love and his recognition. Look at the wazifa of the Mashayikh in Naqshbandiya. Ilahi maqsood man tuhi wa rizai tu muhabbat wa ma'rifat khud bideh. Oh Allah, my objective is only you and your pleasure. Allah, my goal. Oh Allah, I want nothing other than you and your razamandi, your riza, your pleasure. Muhabbat wa ma'rifat khud bideh. Bless me with your love and your recognition. And now just look at this. This wazifa and this dua does not suffice and just stop there, that bless me with your love. Because a person with only love, wo dawa dol, wo gira degi, it will drop a person, it will make a person unstable, a person will be moving and floating this way and that way, he'll not be firmly established. So, together with muhabbat, what are we asking for Allah, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? It is that of ma'rifat and his recognition. There are many people who walk this path, but only with that of love, and they did not reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We learn this, that and the other thing from so many different languages. But we can't even learn this much in asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ilahi maqsood man tuhi wa ridayatu muhabbat wa ma'rifati khud bideh. Now you people make dua for me. What do I tell you people? I am aqrab ila al-maut. From all of you here, I am the closest to death. Allahumma a'tini imanan la yartaddu wa yaqinan laysa ba'dahu kufrun wa rahmatan analu biha sharafa karamatika fid dunya wal akhirah ya arhamar rahimin. Oh Allah, bless me with iman, such iman after which there is no kufr, disbelief and apostasy. وَيَقِينًا لَيْسَ بَعْدَهُ كُفْرٌ. And bless me with such type of yaqeen after which there is no disbelief. And bless me with such a type of rahmah due to which I can earn the grace of your honor in this world and in the akhirah ya arhamar rahimin. Allah Ta'ala accept these du'as on behalf of us, all you sincere people that are sitting here, rather on behalf of all the people of the world. Allah Ta'ala make us all obedient. Rather, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala unite us all in Jannah. The ni'mats, the boons and bounties of Jannah are eternal. Allah Ta'ala bless us with gazing and looking at Him, His countenance. Bless us with His didar. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم بحرمة سيد النبي الكريم صلى الله عليه وسلم.